Hello, humans. Welcome back to the Schmozone podcast. This is episode number 73. I'm Dave Schmulenson, a.k.a. the Schmo. My co-host is...
Helen Yee with Helen Yee Sports.
And I'm very excited for today's guest. It's a power couple in MMA and the UFC. It's JP and Cheyanne Bays.
Hello, guys.
Ta-da. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Of course. Actually, should it be JP Bays and Cheyanne Bays? Is that the better way to put it?
That's the perfect way to... That's the only way to put it.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah. He controls the money because he doesn't like me buying shit. Our last name fits me perfect.
Yeah. Well, hey, you've certainly been making some headways lately. A couple of weeks ago, I think you went pretty viral with... your performance bonus over there at UFC Vegas 32. And I know before that, because I've been watching you guys come up too. I remember your Contender Series fight. And then also you guys fought on the same fight card too before this most previous performance. And I know that you've lived in South Africa. You've lived in Texas. You met here in Vegas. You're back here in Vegas. We'll get into all of that. But what's life been like for you the past couple of weeks?
Well, the last few weeks, it's definitely been a lot better since the fight's over now. We came back here about 8 weeks ago now, so came in here just 7 weeks before my fight. Those 7 weeks we went through a lot of adversity in those 7 weeks, and since the fight, life's obviously been like an emotional stress relief for us, like to get this fight underway. Like it was definitely a roller coaster camp. I mean, obviously, our debuts did not go the way we wanted to. The world was kind of like against us. So going into the second fight, I knew I had to make a statement. And the fact that I did and we got that bonus, things have just kind of fallen into place a little bit for us. But since then, I can definitely say we've been a lot happier since the fight.
And that's awesome. And you guys definitely deserve all the great things. And I love just watching all the support and the love that you guys have for one another. But has your life changed a lot since, you went viral and the performance bonus and everything?
Not really. Actually, I got all that attention in media. And, when you grow up and you're watching, like, the UFC, it's like you can't wait for them to, like, post about you, like, win a performance bonus. Like, it's stuff, like, when I was a kid I couldn't wait for. And then when it happened, I kind of just, like, ghosted away from my phone for a little bit, like past few days after that. Like I don't want to feed into any of the hypeness of myself right now. Like I kind of like, I'm very grateful for what happened and what happened for my family with the money, but I kind of just been home with my animals, my husband, and just kind of had like alone time to kind of just settle back down. And now hopefully he can get a fight and I can get another fight. But yeah, we've just been chilling.
Nothing has really changed.
Nothing has
changed. She's still just buying all the shit.
No.
What kind of stuff, though?
Oh, I bought, like the first thing I bought was just my animals, like 100 toys.
That's a lie.
Oh. No.
She bought a dog before the fight.
Okay, yeah, so before the fight, I was really broke.
She bought was a dog.
Okay. So before the fight, like 2 weeks before the fight, Eric Nixick?
Yeah.
You know how he got a new puppy, right? Okay,
yeah.
So we brought the puppy to the gym, and we have a Frenchie ourselves, and we've always wanted another Frenchie. And then when he brought his Frenchie into the gym, we were like, oh, wow, what a beautiful Frenchie. I went online, and I followed the breeder, and her daughter trains at XC, so she was like, oh, I can show you all my puppies at the gym. And I'm like, yeah, bring them.
That
was the beginning of the end. And then she brought the puppies, and I'm sitting there, and it's like not even two weeks before my fight, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot leave here without a dog. And she's like, okay, well, this dog's kind of like expensive. And I was like, okay, I have no money. I was like, I got nothing. And so basically she was like, okay, you can take the dog, and then after the fight you can pay me. So that was the first thing I had to buy was buy the dog off. So.
But where are you guys living? Because didn't you just pack up all your stuff like 7-8 weeks ago and move to Vegas? Where are you guys staying right now?
So we have a house we're renting, but when we first came here, we actually just drove here. We didn't have a house. We didn't have an Airbnb. we actually got money loaned
We
to
figured
us.
it out in Arizona. Once we
Yeah.
got to Arizona, we're like, okay, now we need a place to stay.
We had 4 animals with us in the car, and we were like, we have nowhere to go, but we knew that we had to come here to Vegas for the camp and to move back here. Like, it was better for us for a lot of reasons, but when we came, we had no house, and then we got a loan to get an Airbnb, but then we didn't realize that the Airbnbs so expensive.
Crazy.
I mean, we paid like
Right now, the market.
The market's
crazy.
It was nuts.
We just saw like a statistic that the mean average house in Vegas is over 400,000, which I think is the
It's
highest
never been
today.
that
never
high,
been like
ever.
this. When I left here
gonna
3 years
burst.
ago,
It's gonna get more.
it was
right?
so cheap.
Yeah.
I remember.
It was so cheap 3
At the
years
wrong
ago.
time.
So when we were driving here, I'm like, okay, we can definitely just get an Airbnb with the loan that we got from someone. I was like, we can definitely get an Airbnb till my fight. We just need 7 weeks, and then after the fight, yeah, no, that
That didn't
Airbnb
work. It was only
for
10
like
days.
12 days was like $2,000, and
And
that's
that was
for a
half our
tiny
money gone.
apartment. And that was not even letting them know that we had 4 animals. I mean, you know, so
They
I
thought
was
too.
like, yeah, but they thought, I don't even think they thought we had any animals. Like, I could not risk paying more than $2,000 for 12 days. So we had the 12 days in the Airbnb, and then we were like, if we stay for another 6 weeks or 5.5 weeks, that's going to be like $5-6 grand. So we had to get another loan, and might as well have gotten a house to rent, because it actually worked out cheaper than getting another Airbnb for that time, because it would have been like another 5 Gs.
The only thing that sucked was we had to get into an empty house.
Yeah.
So we got into an empty house. We borrowed a mattress from
Our
her
friend, my friend.
We got a mattress. We went to Walmart, got a coffee pot,
Like a
thing
2-cup
to cook
coffee
food.
pot.
But at least with like all the help from the PI and stuff, like the bed and the coffee pot made it.
Yeah.
Till
The
that stuff
the
came.
PI was wonderful this fight camp. Like, they did a lot for us.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that I'm sure you inadvertently created from the stir that's been created from your victory, your post-fight celebration, this topic of fighter pay that the media just loves to talk about. And I think your situation kind of reopened this can of worms. And I think even Dana White's kind of addressed your situation again since that too. And I'm sure that wasn't your agenda by having the conversation. All you were just being real. You're
I was
saying
just
your
talking
situation.
about I wasn't even. It kind of sucks. Like, they addressed it as if like I was complaining.
Right.
I wasn't. I was just happy that, like, I fought with the biggest chip on my shoulder. I got headlocked for like the whole freaking fight, my debut. Got disrespected after, and then so when I went into this fight, I was broke as shit. I had nothing to lose. I mean, I had all eyes on me. They put us as co-main event, so I was like, man, they're giving me a second chance. Like, I gotta go out there and I gotta fuck this girl up. Like, that was all I was thinking of. So like, when I was happy, like, I knew with my performance that was 50G. I was like, hell yeah, we did it. So like, when I was talking about my family, and like, I kept saying like, oh, I left, like, we struggled, which not just us, but there's fighters that struggle worse than us. So I can't even imagine. Like, I know for the past 2 months our life has been the worst it's been in a long time, but I mean, I didn't mean for it to sound as if I was complaining, but it did bring up a whole conversation to that.
100%. Just your raw, authentic emotions kind of reopened it. And I think for your situation, both you two, you came up through the circuits, to the regional circuits, and grinded your way to these UFC contracts. And you're not the only one in your shoes. I mean, in your shoes in particular, you have the stage, you have the performance. That's why I think it's all up to the forefront. But I mean, so overall, I mean, JP, chime in. What are your feelings for what this has kind of stirred into, the narrative?
I think a lot of people think that she was complaining about it, but instead she was just telling the story of the struggles we faced. Like, I mean, people don't know, like, yo, we stayed on a mattress and this little stove. Like, we're happy we got the money. We're not saying, oh, it's too little. We're like, yo, we're grateful for the money. Thank you for giving us the money. They think that we're complaining about the money. And I think just as fighters, like, in general, fighters don't get paid enough, but I don't think as humans, any of us will ever be satisfied with what we make. So regardless of what job industry we're in, we're always going to want more. You might get a great payday now, but then the next one you're going to want more. So I think it's kind of like, it's a coin toss. It's always going to be bad. It can always be good, but it can go back to bad. That's just what I think.
Yeah, like our first fight, we made total 20 grand. that was 10-10, you know. And then this fight, I knew I was fighting 10-10 again because I lost. So I'm like, when I spoke, like, I was fucking stoked.
And
like,
we like, up until now, we've pretty much been paying to fight. I mean, I competed in the Contender Series in 2017, but at the time I was living in South Africa. I had to take a loan to come out here to fight, budgeting on 5 and 5 to win, and then I lost. So I got the 5,000 purse, but they already deducted tax. So I got home with like 3,300 after loaning money. It's like right now we paying up until this payday. She just got saved us, but when we both fought, like after paying coaches, teammates, taxes, you pretty much
people
break
see
even.
a big number, but after payouts and all that, it's not
done.
that much.
I agree. You got to pay. There's everything. Everyone part of your fight camp, too. There's fighters that they want to bring in sparring partners, too. You know, you have to pay for that. You have to pay for their meals, their travel, and everything. But just to kind of ask you this question, to reiterate, was the payday you guys have been getting in the UFC the biggest paydays you had received to date for fighting? Just to confirm
100%.
that. Okay.
Yeah, by far.
And I know earlier you mentioned that, you know, hopefully we see JP back in the octagon.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
When can we expect that?
Man, I've been joking around with people that ask me, yo, are you fighting? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe the UFC or someone's mad at me because I was scheduled to fight July 31st, same time as her. I got replaced by Ryan Benoit. I was signed to fight the Russian guy, I think,
No, the Uzbekistan guy, the
so
kickboxer.
I was set to fight him, but then like 10 weeks out, I already had struggles with making weight. Like I've bumped up to 135 since 2017, but then moving to Texas, the coach wanted me at flyweight. I made the weight, won the contract. Didn't really get hit in that fight, but then in my contender fight, in the UFC debut, every time I got hit, like I wouldn't even be knocked out, but I would be falling all over the cage. I'm like, I'm fine, but I'm so concerned about the ref and like defending myself. So we made the decision, came out here to do the testing with the PI, and they figured out that I've been cutting 15 pounds of fat-free muscle just to make that division. That's without cutting water. So they're like, we don't advise you do that. So I withdrew out the fight like eight weeks so that they could find the guy another opponent. I don't think it's fair on him that like I keep him in the loop. So I withdraw myself, hoping that maybe they'll give me a fight at 135 same night as her. But that didn't happen. And right now, like with us leaving the previous team, I lost my manager. So there's no direct contact of me and the UFC as of right now.
So you guys left Fortis MMA and Coach Saif Sahoud. Did that go very? I know he's a passionate guy. Did that go well? Was it clean? Like with everything? And
yeah, I mean, obviously there's reasons to why we had come out here, and there's a lot of personal reasons that brought us out here. But a lot of the things he couldn't argue with. It's like, yo, these are serious problems. We have to address it for ourselves, which he was very understanding. He was obviously trying to keep us there to be part of the team. The team is great, but we just needed a little bit more from other aspects of life. You know, I was running wrestling practice there, and then I get in my fights and I get out wrestled, and it's like, yo, I need a coach. I need someone to tell me do this, do that. Because I would run wrestling practice, but if I get there and I'm tired on that day, then I'm like, yo, we're going to do this and this and this.
It's not good to be your own coach right now, especially in the UFC. It's not good.
The separation has been great. Like, he was understanding. He supported us coming here. Yeah. We bumped into him before Cheyenne's fight, spoke to him.
He was nice. I mean, everything's cool. I mean, it sucks when you leave a team. No one likes it, but we love that team, and we support everyone from there still.
Well, the beauty you guys have discovered, too, is you can train here and you have the resources of the UFC PI. So you have recovery, you have nutrition, you have science to help you guys with all aspects of your camp outside of just your team.
Yeah. Right. The PI has been wonderful. When I left Vegas was 3 years ago, actually, and I only left to go be with him in South Africa. So that was my reasoning for leaving Extreme Couture and Vegas. I loved Vegas, and when I was leaving, I was one and one as a professional when I left here. So coming back here and being in the UFC, it's crazy. I don't see why more people don't move here for the PI.
It's a good kept secret.
And you guys met at Extreme Couture, right?
Actually,
through
XC, yeah.
I was fishing from far away. I was
Yeah.
fishing from Africa. I was trying to fish all the way here.
Yeah, not my old coach, he's my coach again now. Dennis Davis.
Okay.
He was the one he was in South Africa cornering one of our teammates.
Against me.
Against him.
Against me. I was cornering a friend against Dennis.
Yeah, but afterwards they went out, they got drunk, and this guy was like, "Oh, who's
the hottest girl?"
Who's the hottest girl?
He's like, "I think you like Cheyanne. She's about your age."
Yeah.
Then I started fishing
Yeah.
on social media, but
Then he
Tough
decided
fish,
to
yeah.
get a plane ticket to Vegas, and
And then he brought you out to South Africa. You were there for what, 15 months before you convinced JP, or you both decided together to come back to the US?
It was time
to get out of
there,
Africa. Africa's fucking wild.
Like we literally
wild.
got out October 2019, and then all the shit hit the fan with the world going to end like that next February.
Yeah.
So we got out within like 4 months, and if we got stuck in Africa, our careers would be done.
Yeah.
Like done.
Look at Don Madge, Drickus.
They're
finally
struggling to get fights.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
They're still in lockdown. My parents still have a curfew of you're only allowed out between this time and this time.
It's crazy how people talk about oppression in the United States. There's lockdowns where you just said, I know that's going on in Australia too.
Wild.
Yeah,
It's wild.
Yep.
It's fascinating to me, the amount of power that's being taken away throughout this, and
you
the
can't
politics,
get it back.
and you
cannot
get it back,
and it will never get back to that point, I think.
Yeah.
Even now, like, look at Vegas is going back under mask mandate. I feel like Vegas will go under another lockdown.
If the people allow it to.
Yeah. I feel like the people...
How can you lose your power to the point where you can't say what you want to drink freely? Like, for example, in South Africa, you can't buy alcohol right now. They say because of COVID, that would spread alcohol. So no alcohol sales, no tobacco.
No cigarette sales.
What grown-up can not decide what he wants to drink?
That's just total control.
I mean, I don't support cigarettes anyways, but that's bad. I mean, that it makes people go crazy. There was actually just a war there.
There was like a little war going on.
And if people actually studied history and saw how every civilization up until this point is inevitably ended, it doesn't matter if you're the Romans, the Persians, the ancient Greeks, they've all ended. It's all led to the same part, where people at the top taking total control and everybody else being subordinate to them, like slaves. And that's what makes this country so great.
Feel.
This country is only a couple hundred years old.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And if you take away from that one document that our forefathers, and sure, they were imperfect, they wouldn't fit in today's society. Slaves were legal back then. It was a different world we lived in, and it wasn't right, obviously, but it was what they had. It was the best situation. And to think that document has survived this long and to this date, and people been able to live freely in the most democratic or free liberal like republic that we have, like, shit, you give that away, what are we going to turn into?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and it's like you said, back then our ancestors and stuff, like slavery was legal, and it pretty much still is the same thing. Right now you get paid some money, but you're still basically a slave. A lot of people wake up, go to a job 8 to 5, and they live that life till they die.
Yeah.
You're a paid slave.
Yeah.
You're getting peanuts. Okay, you're not happy
Never
to be
get
the
a
slave. You
raise.
get a little bit more money. Just stay here until you die.
You're a slave to the corporation, and the corporations were the only ones that kind of were bulletproof throughout this entire pandemic. And then when you decide what's an essential job and what's the not essential job, you can leave the Walmarts and the big chains open, but you force the mom and pops to shut down. You're losing all of that. You're losing small business. You're losing entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Even
the other day.
Yeah, go.
Sorry. Just the other day, we were at the phone store, and we didn't have our mask on because, like, we're the type of people, like, we're not going to live our life in fear. We get tested all the time. We're professional athletes. We're healthy. Maybe if the government would just fucking tell someone to put down the burger, eat a salad, maybe people would do it. But these people were like, what did they say? They were like, what, you guys aren't scared? And
No, this guy, we just in the store, and I mean, if someone says before going into the store, put this shit on,
put
then
the
I'm
mask
gonna put it on.
then we'll
or
put it on.
if not, I'm gonna try my luck to not put it on. But then this guy walks into the store, and like everyone's stuff is like under their nose, and the first comment he makes loud when we're all talking amongst each other is like, what, are you guys trying to kill everyone now wearing masks?
Yeah.
I'm like, I could, like, that's
like,
not what I'm doing, and he's like, no, I'm just joking. and someone asks us for a photo, and then while they take the photo, the
They
guy
take the
makes the
mask
same
off.
comment. The guy makes the same comment. He's like, "Oh, this photo is gonna pop up on the news. 2 MMA fighters are trying to kill people without masks in AT&T or something." I'm like, why do you keep speaking like that?
But then
You're just speaking
afterwards,
negative.
they were like, when I told them, I'm like, oh, we don't live our life in fear. Like, I'm like, we're healthy. I was like, we never even tested positive for it. I was like, I'm not saying it's not real, but, you know. And then
Then he
only
agreed.
after, when I was like, you know, we're athletes, we're healthy, like, we get tested, like, why must we be scared and wear it? And then he was like, oh, you know, you're right. Maybe if they promoted health and fitness. I'm like,
It's like, you guys look healthy. You don't look like you're gonna die.
dude, it's not that. But
Dude.
this world is being controlled by what this TV and person behind a camera is saying, but yet that person behind the camera is actually not even knowing what the fuck he's saying half the time. you know?
Financial
Yeah.
agenda. It's all about picking a side and people trying to pick the right side. And unfortunately, I think this is here to stay. But if you think about it too, this is just, you know, it's a very potent version of the flu. There's a fine line between a difference between a virus and a disease.
Mhm.
This is a virus. This isn't a disease. HIV, you know, that type of stuff, that can kill you. This can kill you too.
Yeah.
But the best thing you can do, and you said it yourself, is to take care of your health. If we came at things with a proactive approach rather than a reactive approach, people will be so much better off. Vitamin D is helpful. Things that can help you live a longer life, things to improve your longevity. At least if that was part of the narrative, you can use your fair tactics all you want. You can mandate things a lot better if you actually are enforcing things that scientifically help you be a healthier person.
Exactly. I never on TV turn on the news and see them promoting health and fitness.
Be like,
I
oh, we
never see it.
closed 100 burger places or something.
Yeah,
to try
I
to
know. I
prevent-
always see
they don't
like
do that
cigarette,
shit.
alcohol interviews, but like people are unfortunately they're going to feed into what they see all the time, and unfortunately our TV here is shit. I just wish that
Controlled. It's all
I just
controlled.
wish
Yeah, it's
that there
always
was
negative,
things
too.
that were, you know, health and fitness related, because I mean, luckily we never got tested positive, but I mean, we also take care of our health.
Yeah, and that's what we would talk about even last year when things first shut down. David was like, we need to, you know, stay healthy and stay active and get your vitamin D,
Yeah.
eat clean, like sleep well, just try to be healthy.
If anyone on here is listening, take care of your health and fitness.
Yeah.
100%.
That's all it is don't live your life in fear.
The number one killer, especially in this country, so many people are obese, right?
Yeah.
Over 40%. But the number one killer is like heart disease, cardiovascular, like shape. It's absolutely terrible. Sugar is the number one enemy, and that's all we do is promote. We promote soda. We promote
Everything.
fast food because it's follow the money. There's money in it. Corporations and everything like that. That's the agenda. At least address the truth behind it and not ignore everything else. You can, if you want to ignore this, or if you want to acknowledge this is a real pandemic, it's a virus, that's totally fine. But don't ignore the obvious killer here, which is sugar and money for the big corporations.
When the world shut down, everyone was like going nuts to buy training shit, and everyone bought so much shit for their house, and every day
And toilet
push
paper.
up, push up challenge, this challenge, that challenge, and then
Everyone's
the world
trying to
open up. No one's going to gym, but no one's also using their house shit.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
train,
crazy.
just train.
I'm over
Eat your
it.
shit, but at least train so that you can train that shit off. But
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like I look
that's
at
bad.
the athletes that have tested positive. So for like me, I luckily don't know anyone that died or got sick with. I mean, know people that have tested positive but never was super ill. But like for me, I look at my industry only, and I look at the athletes that have tested positive. I mean, I speak to some athletes that are like, yeah, I tested positive, but I have absolutely no symptoms. I'm home, but I'm doing something. I'm in the sauna. I'm trying to sweat it out. Like they're actively trying to feel better. But then I look on TV and I see on my phone on Facebook these people sick with COVID, and they're like on breathing machines, but yet when they go home they're back to drinking, smoking,
cigarettes.
and that's the stuff that kills you, people. Like I'm not gonna go outside and be scared of fresh air. I'm gonna be scared of people smoking those cigarettes near me, and like, you know, just take care of your body.
I mean,
that's
I
all.
eat a lot of shit. Don't get me wrong. I eat a lot of shit. That's why, I mean, I guess I had to bump up a division as well. I eat a lot of shit. But there's a balance. If you
Yeah.
want to eat shit, do something to cancel that shit out. Like 1 for 1 at least.
100%.
To make
Yeah.
yourself feel better at least. But
But yeah,
three burgers ain't gonna digest themselves. Like, you need to go run that shit off.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got to live, you got to have your cheat day,
Yeah,
but
for
you
sure.
have to, or your cheat meal, but then, yes, you have to work it off.
Yeah,
something.
not saying eat
Even
lettuce all day
sauna
every
or
day.
something, but like
100%.
can't let it just sit on you.
Yeah, I tell Helen every day, just sweat every day. You know,
Just sweat every single
every day.
day.
Doesn't matter what the workout is, just sweat
Right.
every day.
It's like someone needs to step in shit and then not go wash themselves and just stay in that. Like, no, like that shit needs to get off. You're gonna go shower, get it out of you.
Yeah.
Same with
No,
this.
definitely. Anyone listening, if you're someone who's scared of this pandemic, don't be scared. Get in the gym, get in the sauna, sweat every day. That's
For
our
sure.
advice.
So I think on our way over to the podcast studio, Helen and I were trying to think who probably spends more time together as a couple, us or you two?
Us, we win. Guaranteed.
We up each
Really?
other's asses all day.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
wanna
go
hear
to the
your-
grocery store or no?
I do. I cook.
Wow.
I
Do
I
you
wash
go
the
with
dishes
him to the grocery store?
most days.
I would
Ah!
say 9 times out of 10, maybe.
Okay, yeah, it's the same. It's fun.
Yeah,
It's
we're,
fun.
We're done. We're done.
he
Yeah,
goes-
we do everything together.
I'll be like, I'm going to the store. You want to go? He'd be like, why must I go to the store with you? I'm like, bitch, why must I go with you everywhere?
This morning I had therapy. And some blood work, and I woke up and I'm like, "Are you gonna come?" And she's like, "No." I got in the car, sent her a text. I was pissed. I was like, "I thought you were coming. Now I gotta go over here on
I'm
my
like,
own." She's like,
no.
"Well, it is your shit."
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to sit down in the PI while you get blood work.
That's true. Well, yeah.
But
Well,
yeah.
you could do the recovery
But
though.
did
there.
she think
I
I
wasn't
want to
scheduled.
sit there
Oh,
and
you
I
do the
wasn't
blood
scheduled,
work?
yeah.
Oh.
I didn't want to sit there either, but I did it.
No, but we are together all day, every day, 24/7 a day.
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever really separated.
Even when she
Same
folds
here.
the laundry, she's like, "You wanna help me fold the laundry?" No, I don't.
Yeah,
always-
when he's cooking, he's like, "Hey, can you help me a bit?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "But I'm gonna wash the dishes."
Yeah, that's
And
nice.
then he'll get mad though if I don't help.
Well, okay. All right. I
Sorry.
digress.
Well, I
but-
did cook last night.
You did.
Yeah,
First
I
time.
helped.
She's like, I cooked.
She's like, "I did."
Listen, I cooked last night.
I'm not going to spend the time defending myself at all here. I'm here to ask you guys a few
Yeah,
questions on
right.
that too. But when, and this is good for us knowing too, but and for both of you guys, when do you turn off? How do you turn off the switch between, being the significant other and being the training partner and helping for the career? Because there's a business side and there's obviously the personal side. And I know it's so damn difficult to not blend the two because
It's
that's
tough.
something we run into all
Yeah.
the time.
It's still tough. I mean, we still bump into it where we would be on the mat, and even though I just have to be a body to mimic something for her, I would want to mimic it, but also tell her what she's doing wrong at the same time. And it's like, yo, like, keep quiet, just be a body at now. But
No, I'll say
It's hard.
when we were at Fortis, he was basically my head coach. I mean, I know Safe was, but if I break down coach, I mean someone who teaches me, who coaches me. And that was him. He was basically my head coach over at Fortis, and that was the worst thing ever for us. I mean, he was my head wrestling coach, and I had a jiu-jitsu school, but he also coached jiu-jitsu, and I mostly did his classes. So he was basically my head coach for wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and we didn't have a striking coach. So we were each other's
I was a
striking
Met
coach.
holder too.
He was like everything for me. Like, Safe didn't hold pads for us. So like we had to build our own like striking garage gym. So we built our own gym and we coached each other, and that was fucking terrible. It's good because
No, it was ass.
It was
I'm not
ass,
gonna lie.
actually.
It's
Okay, it's
easier
not even
now.
good.
When we started, we went to Africa. That coach is awesome. Right? Like, he let anyone train with anyone. I can train with a big guy, and she could train with a big guy, but there's an understanding. But he put us together, and after the first 2 minutes, said, "You two will never train together
The first
again."
time we ever sparred, it was just technical sparring, so it was supposed to be like
wasn't.
super
It was
light.
real sparring.
But he was talking shit before the sparring. He was talking shit, saying,
I said,
"Oh,
your
you're
kicks are gay. They don't work."
because I'm a
this."
taekwondo girl, so he's a wrestler. I'm a
Fuck me
taekwondo
up.
girl, so we're complete opposites in the sparring. And so first time we ever sparred, and he was like, "It's just technical sparring," and the coach was like 20%. So that's like touch, and oh hell no.
No, and I'm technical sparring with shin pads and everything. She's
So-
technical sparring without shin pads.
Yeah, because we weren't supposed to go hard. But then when I went with him, I was like, I was like, let's go. And the coach was like, I don't know. And then I was like, no, we're fine. And then, because we're new, you would think being a new couple.
Tell them what you did.
Yeah, no, I drop kicked him. And then I drop kicked him and I walked over to him. I was like, yeah, my kick's gay now. And I was like talking shit to him. And then he gets up and he beat my ass. I mean, he calf kicked me to the point, he kicked me off the mat. I couldn't walk.
Only because if she did it and she kept quiet, I said, but now you keep talking shit, like.
Yeah, I definitely talked a lot of shit.
Yeah, I told you. And I'm like, yeah, like, okay, good job. And she's like, now what do you have to say? And then I was like, okay.
Okay, and then he got up and he just beat my ass.
But that coach was like, you guys can't train together. Yeah. Not even drill, because we would argue. I'd be like, you did this. No, I didn't. So it's like, okay.
We're very dominant people.
Then we get to Fortis, and it was just like, we had other training partners, but we had like 4 pro practices a week of martial arts, and then we had a lot of other practices, which we were doing like 16 practices, but a lot of it was on our own and with each other.
So we had to learn to have.
So that was hard. But now back at XC, it's like, I'm like, yo, like this and this. It's like, yo, you don't need to do that anymore. Like, go worry about yourself over there. So I've been trying like get my own thing. I feel
like he was like kind of like upset though when that happened.
Yeah,
like when we came. Yeah, okay.
I was
kind
upset.
Of. He
I
was.
like, now I'm like, she's like,
now he's chopped liver.
Get out of here.
Because now I'm back at XC. Like I have my old coaches back, Ray Sefo, Dennis Davis. They were my head coaches before, and they cornered me for a lot of fights. And so when I came back to them, I was like, okay,
she's
now
like,
you got me and my husband.
Your knowledge is trash.
But I told him, I was like, I don't want you as my coach anymore. Like, we're 0-1 in the UFC.
No, we're not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay. But at the time, I'm like, we're 0-1. We need to not be coaching each other. Like, we're too young in this game. And I feel like that going back and having head coaches to corner us and, like, coach us, hold pads for us, it was a big game changer for
like
my last fight.
Business side of things is even more difficult. It's like
it was tough.
To manage the business side is hard, but like for us to shut down, I think is a little easier than for you guys, because at the time only one can fight. Even though we both fight in the same night or whatever, it's like right now it's all her or right now it's all me. So like this past week, I said this morning to some people, I said, this past week we had was tougher for me than the 7 weeks at camp, just because of like in camp it's like you brush everything to the side and it's like you store it, and then after the fight such a big like stress relief, because it's like maybe she steps on my toes somehow, I don't want to say shit right now because she has a fight, but then after the fight I'm gonna say something about it, and it's like, so I shut down until her time is done, but then when the time's done, then I come out freaking guns blazing with all my ammo. I was like, on the 28th of April you did this shit and that and this. Like, I want to start making a list about shit.
Yeah, but it was tough. I'll say that it was tough, but now it's a lot better.
Do you guys prefer fighting on the same card too?
We don't mind it. We did it for LFA, and that was nice because he was at bantamweight for that fight. But the debut, that was tough. Yeah. We had 3 months of a fight camp. We had 13 weeks to prepare for that fight. We both got the call the same day or 2 days together, so we knew we were on the same card. They called him for 25, which we were like, fuck, like, that's such a tough cut. Like, that's 45, 50 pounds. Like, so luckily we had 13 weeks to prepare, but in those 13 weeks, imagine I'm eating full meals every day, and he's eating such little food every day. And for 13 weeks, it was rough. And then, that was bad. But besides that, like him being back at 35 all day, like that's a way better cut for him.
Is this the permanent stay at 35 for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd never want to see that 25
We didn't want to
even
ever see 25, but when an opportunity calls for a contender, you can't say no,
But ideally for you, when would you like to return and any opponent?
If they phone me today, I'd be happy. Like,
yeah.
I just said, like, anywhere, if they phone me with any date of 2 weeks, it will be, like, perfect, because then I'll be like, okay, I don't have to kill myself with the weight cut. Right now, I can make weight, like, pretty quick. I walk around much lighter than what I was. So, anytime, and opponents, I'd like to fight that green-haired guy. I mean,
Yeah.
Kris Moutinho.
Yeah.
His soul is
he got shot up there, so like it's like
Shot
we're
up.
not in the same category of speaking now, because I got my ass kicked here and he got his ass kicked there, but we both got our ass kicked and he got shot past me.
David, make it happen.
I'll see. You know, he messaged. He went in the DMs a week and a half ago too. I have a good relationship with Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley is on the.
Okay.
He was on the podcast that week of that fight too. But yeah, no, Kris Moutinho.
I mean, I have nothing against him.
No, it's a great-
We just
great
thought
great
it would
guy,
be a
great
good
It makes
fight,
sense,
but
yeah.
Where
he
both
got
you
shot
two
up
are.
there.
Yeah, where both you two are in the career. It's a good fight. And real quick, I am going to interject
Okay,
for
no,
today's
you can-
sponsors.
Yeah.
Is Sheath Underwear, a very comfortable pair of underwear. Got a pair for you. I think
Oh,
with
damn.
135, you're medium. I'll
Yes,
have a
sir.
pair for you too. They have a women's line. It's dual pouch protected. Robert Patton, he's an Iraq War veteran. He created this concept too of having the separate pouch for your shaft to keep your balls, nice and dry.
Keep it dry, right?
Because they would
Derek
stick to
Lewis needs
yourself.
that.
He definitely needs that too. We gotta give that. We got XXL now too. Gotta give that to him.
Yeah.
Different colors,
There you go,
super
Derek.
comfortable shit.
Thank
you
you,
know,
Ed.
a lot of the UFC fighters wear it too. Sheathunderwear.com. Use the promo code Schmo to get 20% off. It's a game changer, man. Especially here in this Vegas heat.
I'm
Yeah.
excited.
It's comfortable.
Yeah.
Check them out. Sheathunderwear.com.
Keep your balls cool.
Keep your balls cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I wanted to throw that out at you, but I do love
Thank
that
you.
idea of Kris Moutinho.
I just think
When we
Kurt
watched
Cooley
that
got
fight, we're
pulled
like,
up,
that's
like
great fight.
Sean O'Malley stock ripped him up. He jumped
Yeah.
big, and I think that he could do the same to me. Like he can pull my stocks up again.
Yeah.
He passed me by losing a fight. And
Yeah, he lost also, but he made a
He's a
name
cool
for
guy,
himself. He made a great name for himself. And when the bantamweight division is so stacked. I mean, there's so many guys. I mean, for us, we're every weekend we're like, okay, there's 5 different bantamweights on this card. So
I mean,
but-
August 21st, there's a fight too that I might be out there cornering Baya, but I looked at a fight on there and I was like, I can fight those guys too. It's
we just need 2 weeks, but for both of us, if they give us 2 weeks at least, that's a healthy cut.
And you're at the right place too.
Yeah.
You have a great team there. Yeah, I think 135 is probably the most stacked division right now in the
Very
UFC.
stacked. So many of them.
Everywhere. For sure. But the one thing I did want to circle back to though, just if you guys have an idea like of what could be the way regarding the whole fighter pay situation though, like obviously you guys aren't going to complain. There's opportunity for you guys to grow, and rightfully so, but for everyone from the outside looking in, they're always like, we have a solution this, solution that. Well, it always comes back to like, there's no union in this sport. You guys are independent contractors and you have to work your way up. Do you foresee there being a system or want to see a system in place where you can have some sort of benefits or some sort of financial incentive guaranteed just for choosing the career path of being a professional fighter?
Absolutely. This sport has taken everything I've ever owned. I mean, I have not been able to even get on health insurance. Like, I don't have money to have done any adult things in my life because of this sport. Like, in this sport, to make it to this level, you kind of got to give everything to be something. And so I think, I'm not the only one struggling. I know many of my friends. So, yeah, I definitely think there should be. I feel like we put our life on the line, and I know me and many others in this industry, we're prepared to die in there.
Do you have health insurance?
No, I don't have any
Do you have health insurance?
No, we don't have anything. We don't have dental. And 2 weeks before my fight, I broke my tooth.
That
So I
was
have a fake
awesome.
tooth.
Oh,
So 2 weeks before my fight, my front tooth got chipped out, completely out. So I have a crown, and I got my crown only on Monday.
I'll show
Hollywood
you.
Dental?
Hollywood Dental.
Yeah, straight to the
shout
Yeah.
I'll
out.
show you guys a photo after.
Yeah.
So like 2 weeks before my fight, I'm freaking toothless, and I'm like, oh my God. And then Hollywood Dental, they give us a great discount, but even then, pulling out that much money, I didn't even have the money to get a freaking new tooth, So it was like, man, it's definitely a sport where I think we should have, some type of benefit. That'd be great,
I think like healthcare obviously is on ourselves. They cover anything that happens on the night, but there's a lot of things that don't make sense that I do think needs a system. It's gonna be hard to say that you can pay me and maybe that Paddy Houlihan guy, whatever his name is, the same amount to make our debuts because he has millions of people following him compared to me, or whatever the case is different. So of course he deserves more money than I do. But then how can this weekend's bonus be 75,000 and the next week 50,000? It's like her bonus has been, or her knockout was more slick than some people that earn 75K.
Yeah, I remember they did the 75K in like Texas. At least I know for the
because Tony Ferguson.
Yeah.
Bigger
And
in
then
Texas.
Sean O'Malley go.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm like, then this last weekend they gave out 6 bonuses, four performance and 2. So that's like the extra 25 that they add to all the other bonuses. But her week there was only 4 bonuses of 50K.
I definitely think there should be something in the future. The sport is still young.
And the crypto deal too.
So young.
Yeah, the crypto deal is bullshit.
Well,
I mean, I didn't want to say anything because I'm now 1-1 in the UFC, but I have a big mouth and I would definitely say how it is. But crypto, that is some bullshit. How do we get no money after $175 billion to the UFC and we don't get one fucking penny? I mean, I'm just saying I'm 1-1. I don't give a shit, but everyone in this company deserves something from them if we're going to represent them. Now, crypto, don't be mad. I'm just going to say, like, I think
why
we
does
deserve
Venom
something.
give us money?
Yeah,
to
Venom
wear their
gives us
stuff,
money,
but
crypto
don't give us
nothing,
money to wear their
and
stuff.
they're on the shirts, they're on everything.
Yeah, what did they tell you guys about that?
Nothing. We got fucking nothing.
We didn't even get told
We
nothing.
didn't get
We
told
saw what
nothing.
you guys saw on social media.
we just
We
saw,
might
like,
have seen it from you. I don't know.
I think
You know, what I found interesting, but it is Conor McGregor. I know when he walked out and
Like,
his
he
fight against
didn't
Morton, he
wear
took
that
off the
glove.
shirt
Yeah.
and just ran
yeah,
out.
because I
I
mean,
saw
it's
Kevin
right there on
Holland
the
or
shirt.
someone do that too. They walked in and the camera records like the main event or whatever walking in. And
He
yeah,
just took
he
his
walked
shirt
out
off.
with his jacket tied around his waist.
Yeah,
I think it was
it's
him.
bullshit. I mean, I even said before the fight, because I mean, you know, when you're cutting weight, you're thinking about everything. All I was thinking of was like, I want to go on there and just be like, where the fuck is our money? Like, you know, I mean, obviously I'm very happy I did not do that. But I mean, talking about money, I mean, I hope that fighters speak out about it, because how is it we're going to represent this company without it getting $1?
I think the only way it's going to have to come from the top dogs in the sport, like
Yeah.
the champions and stuff like that.
That's why I was
kinda
like,
leading
me
down.
being 1-1 is not going to say shit.
Which that's
but-
us. It can't be. It's got to be a union.
It has to be.
Because
Right, what I'm
otherwise,
saying
just
is
the top dogs are gonna get a deal once they start speaking up. They're gonna
Yeah.
get a layer for their own pocket.
it's next man up. Like if you don't want to fight, they'll get someone else to do it. Unless it's structured and organized. I don't
Yeah.
know what that looks like. I
I
have
don't
no
know either.
idea. But like it just seems like it's a reoccurring theme that everybody continues to bring up. So I was just
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah, I actually didn't even hear anything about this crypto thing. And I actually was like, before the fight, I was like, I wanted to go on Twitter and ask, like, yo, do we get any money? But then I didn't want to put that on
100%.
social media. So then I was like, no.
and
but,
we don't know who do you ask.
like, who do
They're
you
like
ask?
crypto will do deals with you. It's like, who do I ask? Do I go to a
Yeah, like,
matchmaker,
I
or
don't want to sound desperate, but dude, if we're all wearing crypto,
let's
Right.
work out those deals.
yeah.
So obviously there's negative, but there's also positive, and the positive must outweigh the negative for us to be at this table and talking
Right.
about it in the first place.
Yeah.
But like, there's flaws in everything, but you just have to hope that the positives outweigh the negatives.
Yeah, I'm just glad I didn't say
I
anything on
think-
camera.
Like going back to the question you asked about like in the sport and the fighter pay and stuff. It's like, I think the percentage of fighters that fail before making it to this level is bigger than like probably any sport.
I feel just
Because
we're all
we
underpaid.
right now, out of like South Africa, we 3 in the UFC, and that's the most there's ever been, ever. But what about the hundreds and hundreds ones that's failed from there?
What I find so fascinating about this sport and where we're at right now, and ironically Dana brought up the name Vince McMahon at the last post-fight press conference, because you can't script a better situation than the heavyweight title scenario where you have 2 former training partners in Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane getting matched up to unify the heavyweight
Big story.
championship. Huge story,
Great-
and it's
great fight.
perfect. But it seems like as a UFC fighter, the pay is not necessarily associated with your performance as it is with your popularity. You know, if you get a bigger following and build your brand bigger, you get some more leverage. Like Sean O'Malley.
1000%.
I mean, look, the UFC, he even pointed this out too recently on his own podcast or on his YouTube channel. Like, the UFC does not need him. They don't need him. They don't need anyone.
Yeah.
But if you want someone who can be a star for you and can bring seats or butts in the seats and can sell pay-per-views, he's a guy you can build around. So it just shows you the value of a brand you can make outside of just performing inside the cage.
Yeah, that's actually something that, when I got into this sport, I was just turning about 15 years old, and I studied all the girls, and I started studying the guys, and like studying them, not like skill-wise, but seeing how their careers, how they're doing it, what's the step. Like, I want to know everything, so when I do get to that level, because I've always known I can get to this level, I'm like, I want to know how the promotion works, how everything works. Like, do you need to promote yourself in these aspects? Things like that. And definitely this game is not just about winning fights. It's about
the story.
It's about the
and
stories and selling.
We can speak as first-hand witnesses of that, because I was supposed to fight 1 week before her on the Contender Series, and I was going to be fight one of the night against Nate Smith, which my fight fell through. Her fight happened. She was the second to last fight of the 5 fights. She won. They rebooked my fight, and then like week 10 they put me as the main event of the show.
Yeah.
It's like, but before her, my stocks were low. I was the first fight of the night. She wins, and my story gets brought up to her. That night they keep speaking about me and her, but they like speak about me 2 weeks later. I'm headlining that card.
Yeah.
It's like they care about the story, the performance, the way you speak.
But I've always said, and I will always say, we're not just fighters, we're entertainers. So if they can find someone that's a good entertainer, they're going to keep them around, and they'll take care of them from what I've seen.
Well, after your last win and the way you won, did you notice like a spike in your social media?
Oh, I gained like 85,000 followers. That's why I said
amazing.
I put my phone down. I put my phone down like a week after, and that's why it's like I didn't feed into it. Like, I know now bitches are gonna come for me.
There was a spike from everywhere. Her social media spiked. We like got her mail sent to our house, and we opened it, and it's like someone sent
me
like
$20.
This guy sends me a message on Twitter, and he's like,
yeah.
I want to contribute to you guys like $200, and
not just that, just
like
sponsorships and like everything spiked up, and
it's like
I kind of was like, yo, let me just sit back and breathe for a second. Like, I'm not gonna jump into all this. Like, I just wanted to breathe for a second. I don't have a manager, so like.
Do both you two not have managers?
No.
Neither of us,
no. So this is like, over the week after the fight, like my life basically changed. I was like, I've always prepared for this moment. I'm like, you know what I mean? I was like, just put my phone down. I'm gonna think about everything. Like, I have managers now contacting me. Like, like a lot of people are now contacting me, but I'm like, I gotta make sure like everything I do from here on out is best for my family and I.
Which is nice, which we did, or I mean, we didn't plan on it, but it just so happened to be. We both fought on our same night, got our ass kicked, and the world hated us.
Yeah, they said we should deserve to die.
During that time until her next fight, a lot has happened with us changing camps, losing managers. So we already started speaking up during that time. Like, our managers started asking questions. Not too much,
but on Twitter I would ask about like pay and stuff.
Well, I'm speaking from my point of view, is I've been reaching out to managers, like, I need a manager, I need this, but no one contacted me before her fight. Then she won the bonuses stuff, and now I get responses, and it's like, now do I kind of want to go with them? It's like, I messaged you before she won, and you didn't get back to me.
There's so many parallels just from my side of the world, just from being a sports journalist or the sports personality, from just creating the Schmo.
Right.
I created it because nobody gave me a chance.
Right.
And it's such a political game. It had nothing to do with your skill set. It had just to do with did people like you or
chances,
not.
Huh?
And then when I became the Schmo, no one gave me a chance too, until I went viral for the first time. And the same people that acted like I didn't exist or anything, they all come cracking at my door and trying to be all buddy with me, but I've never lost who I am or was, so I can relate completely to that. It's like, you're the same person who never wanted me to be a guest on your show. You're the same person.
He doesn't forget.
I never forget either.
Yeah, you're the same, because
you can forgive, but you can never forget.
Exactly,
I was about to say that.
And that's for us. Like I've always said, whenever we for me as a kid, because I've always been in martial arts, I've always said I'll never let the community change who I am. I always want to stay who I am, and I'm always going to keep the people that I've always believed in stuck by me. And after our debuts, I mean, I was so mad going into this last fight. Like, I even saw a therapist. Like, I wanted to kill everyone. Like, I mean, I was getting death threats. We were being told you deserve to die. Like, and I was more mad because I was mad at myself on how I performed. Like, you know, it was all bad. Like, I was like, obviously the worst way I could have had a debut is getting headlocked forever, you know? Like, it wasn't even a fight. So, and then the disrespect I got from my opponent after, you know, and then I look bad because, of course, someone jumps in your face, calls you a effing puta, and spits at you. What are you going to do? I mean, you're in a cage. You're locked up.
I remember that.
She spit in my face and called me a effing puta.
Yeah, we were cage side for that.
Yeah, you were pissed.
I was pissed. I mean, I knew I lost the fight.
She's always pissed.
So when I got up, like, no matter what.
The warrior princess.
Every fight she's pissed.
Yeah, I was pissed. Because
they're so cute.
I mean, what do you expect? You just get into a fight. I got my head squeezed for like 9 minutes. Yeah. I tried every way possible to fight this girl, and she didn't engage one time in a fight. So the fact that she fight's over, I'm like, okay, we're gonna get up, we're gonna hug. I lost, you know, fuck it, you know. Jumps in my face when the bell rung, spits at me, and calls me a effing puta 3 times.
So that's what happened, because I had fans like asking me like, hey, what happened, you know, in Cheyenne's fight? Like, did her opponent spit on her? Like, what was going on? So I'm actually glad you clarified that.
Yeah, no, the girl, she's a coward.
This was the debut fight, this is when you two fought on,
So, like, obviously after my debut, like, everyone saw a side of me that was like, yo, like, I was cussing this girl. I was like, like, all that's real emotion. Like, to be disrespected at this level, like, come on. Like, come on.
I mean, yeah, no, for all professional athletes, and that's why, and they're doing a documentary. I'm a huge NBA fan. That's like when Ron Artest, Malice in the Palace 2003, he went in the stands and fought with fans because they spat on him and threw shit at him on the court.
I would probably have done the same thing.
You would probably do the same shit.
What's crazy is that was where her mind was at after winning. Yeah. Like, as soon as the ref said stop, she should have known she won that fight. You got a call on 1 week's notice to step up into the UFC. She took the fight.
Injured
you got
and all.
in. So the fight happened. You won the fight. You knew you had won. So why didn't you get up and celebrate? Why is your mind at, like, gussing her? Like, you already won the biggest fight of your life. You're in the UFC undefeated.
It's all right. I'll get her again. But, yeah, I just had to clarify that because, I mean, that was why, like, going into this fight, that was also, like, a big, like, you know, the UFC gave me a lot of love for this fight, too. So, yeah, it was an emotional fight for me.
I went back and rewatched this fight, and I'm telling you, her knee, it was centimeters away when you landed that kick.
Mark Smith came to me after, and he's like, yeah, I had to review that. And he's like, we had to play it from all the angles to make sure. And he's like, it's literally, like, this far that the hand, like, releases before the foot.
Yeah, like, my foot was going to her face when her hand was still on the ground.
You were that close from that money. Yeah. That money. That bonus.
That's crazy how that much can make a huge difference. And you know what's crazy is that much could have made people hate me or love me. Yeah. If I would have gotten DQ'd, the world would have been like, oh, you're horrible. I even still get some messages saying, that was an illegal kick. And I literally responded, someone goes, that's not what my bank account says. Because I'm like, what am I supposed to say? Like, I kicked her, you know? Like, I would have taken the DQ if it was a DQ, but it wasn't, so just leave it.
Why do you guys get hate, though?
Oh, I mean, that's because MMA fans are some of the worst people I know.
That show was DQ. That was illegal.
Or don't want to know.
Yeah, you don't want to know the MMA fans. They're horrible. I love them, but you also hate them.
There's two sides of them. They hate us, and they love her. So they hate us, and the other half is like, yo, we like you. You have such nice feet. You have this. You have that.
Oh, the feet.
Oh, and
you get this.
Oh, she gets many.
That's why I try to, like, any photo that I wear flip flops, I crop my feet out or I blur my toes, and they're like, why? I'm like, I got 6 toes.
So it's haters. It's haters or foot lovers. One of the two.
No,
but
I mean,
we love them more, I guess.
After the debut, we saw a lot of people, like, you know, our friends reached out to us, but I mean, when I tell you the world was against us on our debuts, I mean, it was so bad that, like, you try not to feed into it, and I usually don't feed into it, but, I mean, I will say it made me fight with a big chip on my shoulder, because I was like, I gotta go out there and shut these people up and show them who I am, and not for them but for myself mostly. And that was what I really went into this fight with, saying was, I'm doing this for me, because one of us has to go 0-2, and it's not me. Like, I know I'm better than that. So but yeah, after the debut, people were like, you deserve to die, you should go to Bellator, you fucking suck. And I'm like,
people told me that I was only there because of her, and they're like, you tagging along with your. And
I'm
I was like, okay.
People have no idea.
I guess I
and
never
they'll
won
never
fights
have an
before
idea
her.
of what these people in the UFC do to get to this level.
100%.
And I guess, like, you really do have to block it out. But I will say the haters really made me want to freaking beat this girl.
We got a bonus, and now people are like,
oh, you're the best.
Why is your. You a useless man? You failed as a husband. Why do you let your wife go broke? And
Yeah.
I'm like, we were both broke.
Yeah, we were both broke,
we
buddy.
were both.
And
what
people
are you talking about?
Because Dana, I didn't even read what Dana said about the fighter pay, because I was like, man, these people think I'm complaining. But I saw Dana said something about I'm 1-1. But, you know, these people can see a big number, but they don't know what that money all goes to. Like, payouts.
I mean, even Dana there, he's like, oh, she made 80,000. She made 80,000 in the last 3 months or 6 months, and it's like.
Actually, technically, I didn't even make the 50
If she
yet.
did make 80,000,
you don't get it yet.
It comes like 5 weeks later.
Oh wow.
But even if she did make 80,000 clean, then that's a different story. But
Yeah.
you paid us 80,000, but that's like tax takes what? How much of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but the beauty behind a lot of this stuff too is your uptick in social media, the brands reaching out.
Very
Now you have an
sponsorships.
opportunity, and we kind of alluded to that too. Is now you have an opportunity to make some money outside of the cage.
Right.
That, like I
Both
said,
you two together, I
it
think, would be
really
a great
changed our
sell.
life.
Right.
Yeah, the win definitely changed our life, and I told him going into this fight, we will never struggle again after this weekend.
Damn right.
And you know, one of us had to do it. Luckily, I was up first, and I just fought, like I said, with the biggest chip on my shoulder. And you know, for me, I fought for myself and for my family. And at 26 years old, I was like, I'm not happy where I'm at 26, because if you would have told me at 18 that I was 0-1 in the UFC at 25 years old, I would have told you you're out of your fucking mind. You know, so for my own, I would have told you at 25 I'd be close to a title shot, like, because that's, you're 18. I was fighting my whole life.
You wouldn't be in the UFC where you are now if you didn't have that mindset.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and so being 26 now, I'm like, okay, I just turned 26. I'm 0-1. I can go out there and I can fucking make a change in my life and make the 21 years of martial arts worth it, or I can go out there and I can shit the bed like I did my debut. But I feel like God put me in that debut for a reason. I got injured 2 weeks before the fight, really bad. I had to get surgery. But when they called me and told me Kay Hansen was out on 10 days notice, it was 2 days after I got injured. And so I immediately was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to pull out too, because we can reschedule. But then it was in the same phone call. They're like, Kay Hansen's out, but you got a replacement. So I was like, okay, fuck it. We're going to keep fighting. So,
And the offer was like, you got a replacement, and so you can fight the same night as your husband, or you can fight 2 weeks later. And she's like, no, the story is
already there. But anyways, you know, I was like, God, why am I injured before my debut? I've worked so hard to get here. You know, I was asking why. And then after the fight, I was like, why did we lose? Like, I could not even believe my eyes. Like, I couldn't believe how fucking bad we lost. And then after, like, when you settle down, you get away from the social media, I was like, everything makes sense. We had to make a change in our life. We no longer could be each other's coaches. We made the change. We freaking left everything again. Like, we were actually working so much and coaching so much in Dallas that we were decent with money. Like, we made enough money to pay all of our bills, have a nice house. You know, we were doing well, like, finally doing well-ish. Financially doing,
athletes.
Yeah, not as athletes. But financially, we weren't hurting. And you know, we were like, okay, we can stay here, have a nice house, or we can pack the fuck up, go somewhere, and just focus on being 100% athletes. And I feel like having had that debut, having been embarrassed like that, having been disrespected, it was all, for me, fuel to my fire to come out here and get a first-round finish. Like, that for me, that was my first time as a pro getting a first-round finish. So for me, it was big. It was big for me because I needed that confidence in myself again. And but yeah, like
that
like
loss
said,
was the best for us, though,
was
because
really good.
with so much eyes on us, if we had both won that night,
who knows
and
how
made
we
the
would've stayed.
history, like possibly our shit could have exploded. It could have taken a big spike, but it humbled us really bad to the point where we hit the bottom so hard that we were like, okay, if we fight the same night again, what's the worst that can happen? We can lose again, but it can't get worse than that.
Yeah, they actually called us 2 weeks after our debuts. You know, I'm getting surgery, he's concussed, and they're like, do you guys want to fight again July 31st? And we're like, not even crossed our minds. We were like, yes, because in order to be great, you have to take risk. And, you know, we took the big risk in our debut. I mean, it wasn't a risk, but we tried to start a legacy. And, you know, before this fight, Eric Nixick, you know Eric Nixick, he was like, we were texting, and being back at XC was also very emotional for me because, you know, they built my foundation extreme. And Eric told me that week, he was like, Dan Ige started as a 0-1 in the UFC. And then that literally was just like, I was like, you know what? You're right. Like, it's not about how you start.
A 5-fight win streak.
Yeah, it's not about how you start. And I felt like finally getting that first UFC win was just like, fuck. Like, thank you.
Monkey off your back.
Yeah, it was very emotional and like.
It's like we had a redo from the contender. We were supposed to fight a week apart. Mine fell off. She fought, had a great performance. Then I fought, had a great performance. So now it's like the same.
Yeah.
Like,
hopefully they call him.
We lost. She fought, had a great performance. Hopefully, like,
but yeah,
we go back to that step.
Yeah, it was definitely great. But I try not to think about that win too much because now I'm like, I just got to go and do it again, and he's got to do it again. But.
Well, I know after your fight, you said you're open to basically fighting anybody, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I always say yes to everyone. I mean, I guess my last manager is the only person that always told me, like, no, you can't just fight anyone. Because if you called me and told me I'm fighting the champion next week, I'll be like, oh, fuck, okay, we're fighting the champion, you know. But, yeah, I mean, this division stacks. So there's a lot of good fights for me, and there's a lot of opportunity. There's many girls in below the top 15 that are available, I think. So I haven't really got to sit down and look at the full roster, but I have a few girls in mind.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you two coming in the Schmozone. Inspirational story.
Yeah, very inspirational.
Thank you.
I love that you guys are willing to fight on the same card. I love that you guys are probably together just as much, if not more.
I'm glad we know another couple.
The only couple.
We're glad to know because people don't understand.
Work, right?
Yeah,
100%. 100%.
Work.
I'm not training, so she's training for the 50 free for the Olympics for 2024. Yeah. So I train with her not all the time during the week, but like at least half of her training
How does it go?
Well,
let's hear this.
That's why when you guys are talking about that, I was laughing because so now we have a trainer because when the pandemic started, he was like, oh, let's go to the park, you know, because he's like begging me to work out. I'm like.
Well, she was not working out at all.
For like 13 years after I quit swimming. I just, you know, long story why I quit, I just didn't want to think about those memories anymore. Yeah. And I, you know, gained like 70 pounds, like, and then it was just over. So David's like, please, I need to work out to be happy every day. And I'm like, I don't want to work out. I love being lazy. So then he's like,
I can't wait to be lazy too. I can't.
So then he's like, well, what would it take? And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to just work out. If I do, like, my childhood dream was to make the Olympic trials in swimming. Good. And so he supported me and started taking me, like, to the park because everything shut down. Oh, I was so out of shape. But I hated when he started coaching me. He got, like, rude, like, and all this stuff and bossy. And I'm like, I can't have you coach me.
He was supportive.
He's supportive of your dreams, but there's never going to be a good lining for it. There's never a good lining.
Even now, so he hired me a trainer. And we go see him. So when the trainer leaves for a minute and we're doing this, like, workout, he'll all of a sudden be like, oh, you're doing it wrong, or you got to do that. I get so pissed.
Me too.
I look at
I can't. No, it's not motivated. You piss me off.
Yeah, you piss me off too. It's okay.
So you guys understand.
It's crazy. The coach will say, don't put this thing like this. And she'll be like, okay, but if I said it before, don't put it like this. Like, why? It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
No, same thing to, like, for everything too. Like when she finally started doing pull-ups without band assistance and doing the body weights, like then she'll just jump in like, ease down and just like just little things here and there that I would say. Exactly, but it doesn't matter if I'm saying it. She won't hear, but
Yeah,
then
only
if the coach says it.
Yeah. My last sparring, actually, he was just pissing me off. I don't know for what. He was just pissing me off. The fact I just looked at him and I was just like pissed.
I was just married to her.
Yeah, he was just being, I don't know, nothing. It was just weight cut. And the coach, because he was, because we came here in the 7 week, and my head coach, Dennis Davis, wasn't able to corner me because he was for Bellator the same night. So I made JP my head guy since we know a little bit more. And like Eric and Ray's my head striking coach. So if it hit the ground, he would speak. But in my last sparring, after the 3 rounds I did, my coach Ray was talking to me, and then he would speak, and whenever he would speak, I would just kind of like eye at him. I didn't say anything. I would just eye at him.
She asked for tips, and everyone gave tips except my tips.
Yeah, I didn't want his tips. But then after he gave a tip, then my coach Ray comes and he goes, Cheyanne, come here. And then he's like, listen, JP, he's not your husband this whole week. And this is fight week. And he was like, he's not your husband this week. He's Coach JP. And I was like, we came here to not be each other's coaches. And I'm like, yes, sir. You know what I mean? You just like, in my head, I'm like screaming, but then I'm like, yes, sir.
Help.
Yeah. Ray's the type of guy you have to give him that respect. He's such a legend.
Ray's like
awesome.
a father figure to me. Yeah, I dislocated my elbow in a fight, on my last Army fight, and I was yelling at man, I sound like I'm always mad. But I was yelling at Mark Smith was the referee.
I said she's always pissed.
Mark Smith was the referee, which me and Mark Smith are kind of like friends. He's reffed me for many years, many of my fights. And, yeah, he was in there, and then the doctor came in. There was like 10 people in there trying to get me out of this cage, and I'm yelling at everyone. I was like, no, I'm fine. And my elbow's like all out, dislocated, and next thing you know, Ray came in, and Ray was like, Cheyanne, get the fuck out of this cage. I was like, yes, sir, we're walking out right now. If Ray says something, I listen to Ray. But him, not so much.
For sure. Man, we could talk to you guys forever. We'll do it again.
Yes.
Final thoughts you want to leave the audience with for the Schmozone podcast?
No, just thank you guys for having us. We truly appreciated it.
Thank you guys, and we hope to see you guys back in the octagon soon. And David will message Kris is soulless.
We put that out into the universe. Yeah. We'll see what we could do.
Right. I think it would be a great fight. Kris, no hard feeling. I'm like a fan of the guy too. Like, we were watching him and we were like, this would be an awesome fucking fight. So yes, I think Kris would be down.
I just want to fight.
Yeah, we just want to fight.
I just want to fight anyone.
We'll see what we could do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Episode 73 of the Schmozone podcast. We are out.